And just out of curiosity, how many of you were involved in the purchase of a vehicle? You actually bought your own car. Solomon? 3, 4? Yeah. All right. So some of you might have heard of what's happened. Some of you are actually involved. So if you've done this, a lot of this will be just repetition, a review, but for a lot of you, this is going to be brand new. Okay. So when you're buying a used vehicle, there are two distinctions that we really look for. Is if you're buying at a dealership, you're always going to pay the 12%. Regardless if it's new or used, you pay 12% tax. When it's private, you only pay 7% PST. Okay, so that is a perk of buying private. Now, some of you might say it's not worth the risk, but anyways, you only pay PST. Okay, that's a big distinction right there. Some definitions: a safety inspection. Prior to insuring a vehicle in Manitoba, it needs to pass, right? You need to pass a safety. And so the COI is the certificate of inspection. I'm going to show you a picture on page 9 a bit. How long is the safety valid for? Solomon, 1 year? Yeah. For 12 months, I will put down. But it is 1 year. So if you buy it, if you buy a car today, you drive it for 6 months, you're like, don't like it. If you want to sell it, you can use that safety the previous owner paid for and just sell it again, right? So that's kind of nice. So there it is. So the book value, the value of the car, this is new, okay? I want you to make sure you understand what book value is. The value of the car based on its make and age, and this is very important, it does not always reflect the market value. Most likely it will not reflect the market value. I will say this, the book value can be greater or lower than purchase price. I'm going to just put this right under. So I'll give you some examples. My friend bought a truck that had 300,000 kilometers on it. That's a lot, by the way. Got a really good deal for it. Bought it for 30 grand. The truck was actually worth 45 grand. Okay, got it for 30 grand. Lots of miles. Goes to Autopack to insure it, and they're like, no, sir, your car, based on our book, they have a book, by the way, is worth 45 grand. So he had to pay taxes on the 45 grand, not on the 30 grand he paid for the car. So, and then sometimes you have the case where the book value is lower. Autopack says, no, it's actually only worth 5 grand, but you paid 7 grand for it. And sometimes it's because whoever you're buying it from, it really kept the shape of the car in very good condition. Maybe did some, add-ons to it or whatever. And so you're okay paying a little bit more. So it fluctuates. Sometimes it's a golden book, sometimes it's a blue book. It doesn't matter, it's book value. Okay, that's kind of like a reference Autopack has. Purchase price is the actual value paid for the vehicle. It may be more or less than the book value. Okay, very important. Trade-in, obviously if there's a trade-in, you subtract from original price. I don't think that's any news to you. Parts and labor. Any repairs and or work done as well as the parts being replaced are taxed PST and GST, so taxed 12%. It's a good idea to calculate the parts and labor prior to determining the total cost of purchasing the car. And then there's a lien search. What is a lien search? Okay. A lien is a claim or legal right against assets that are typically used as collateral to satisfy debt. Okay. A lien is established by a financial institution. There it is. A lien serves to guarantee. It serves to guarantee a loan. Okay. Why is there a no? I have no idea. So let's cross that out. So if you get a loan for, let's say you're buying a Honda Civic, right? And you want to finance it with your bank, they're going to ask you for the serial number of your car. Did you know that every car has a long serial number right in the front window? Sometimes it's right on the dash. It's actually on every part of your car. If you open the door, it's on the car. So the bank they have a registry, and they actually submit that serial number to that registry, and they say this car belongs to us. Like technically the bank has the right to take the car from you. They're not going to do it, right? But they own the car. Like you cannot just sell it without them knowing it, take off with the money, right? So you should always, and it costs maybe 30-40 bucks. It's not that whole lot. I'm drawing a blank. What's that website where you can look at the history of the vehicle? There's a name. I'll come up with it in a bit. But you pay, and it actually searches for any hidden damages that have been reported at some point, and it also has an extra feature, Carfax. Yeah, that's what it is, Carfax. And it also has an extra feature to do a lien search. So if you're buying from a private person, I would strongly suggest you do a lien search of that vehicle. My bank, when I bought my truck last year, they did it for me. They said, just so you know, we're not going to give you the loan until we do a lien search to make sure that vehicle is not registered under any other bank. There's no money owing on it, right? So a lien search, make sure that there's no money owing on that car. If there's a lien on it, don't buy it. That's basically what I'm saying, okay? And then they'll say, no, I promise you I'll pay it off. Don't go for it. Like tell them the bank can issue a statement that says it has been fully paid off. Once you get that copy, then you can go ahead and buy the car. Anyways, let's keep going. Taxes on vehicle purchases. This is actually on a formula sheet that I will give you a little bit later. Let's just focus on this. If you buy new, you pay both taxes. So it's 12%. On the side here, write down 12% for buying new. If it's used, but it's at a dealership, you still pay 12%. That's what I was just referring to earlier. If it's used private, you don't pay GST, right? So you will only pay 7%. This is what's a bit trickier. I want to highlight that. PST is calculated on the greater of the book value or purchase price. So whichever one is greater, that's the one Autopack taxes. Either what you paid or what the book value is. They pick the greater one. Safety, there's no PST, only GST. So you can cross off the PST. So that means that safety is only taxed 5%. Materials and labor. Can you add this here? It's also known as parts, right? Any parts that you replace on a car, anything like that pays both taxes in Manitoba, so it's 12%. A lien search, watch this, there's no PST and no GST. So 0% on that. In order to insure or to register a car in Manitoba, you need 3 things. So if you buy a car privately and you go to Autopack, you want to insure it, you need 3 things. You need the certificate of inspection, that's the safety. I might ask you this. You need a bill of sale and you need a TOD. What is a TOD? It's a transfer of ownership. And if you go to page 9 real quick, I'll just show you. I took some snapshots of. This is very small, by the way, but this is what a safety looks like on page 9. Certificate of inspection, it says it right up top. This is what you need to look for. See this, the inspection result. I know it's pretty blurry here, but right here where my finger is pointing, it says pass, fail, right? If it's checked off pass, you're good to go. If it's fail, obviously you need to replace certain things. And then right here, this is a bill of sale. So this bill of sale, you know where I got that from? You go to Autopack's website, type in bill of sale, Autopack or MPI, they have one for you. You just have to fill it in and you can buy or sell a car with this. It's a PDF, you print it and you can make that transaction safely. The one thing that's not on here is the TOD. The TOD is when you go to Autopack, they'll do a printout. They give you a printout. It's kind of bluish. You put it on in the glove compartment. At the back of that, there's a transfer of ownership. You sign it, and then so now you're saying I'm releasing this car to the other owner. So together with the bill of sale and the safety, you have to have all 3 documents, and then you can register your car and drive off afterwards. Okay. So you need to make sure you know that, because it can be an unpleasant experience if you don't have that. Okay, let's do some formulas and let's do some math here. These formulas should definitely, they're not going to be on the formula sheet. So here we go. Use dealer, right? Use dealer, that's what UD stands for. They're long formulas, so watch out. Maybe let me write it out first and then you copy it. Okay, so it's still as before, sticker minus trade-in times 1.12 plus safety. And what was safety taxed again? 5%, right? So watch this. It's just 105%, right? So 1.05. Then you have, I can't fit this in unless I do P&L. I will tell you that's parts and labor times 1.12 plus Lien. Oh my goodness, right? Yeah. I will tell you that this formula is there just in case all the components are there. So write it down. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, so hold on. There it is. And Lien doesn't have anything multiplying at y because it's 0% tax. Right? So there's your formula. So parts and labor. So if they're saying you know, replacing shocks, replacing brakes, replacing various items that would all be under parts, and they will oftentimes tell you how many hours the shop worked on it to replace it. And I will add a little star to this. When buying from a dealer, safety, parts and labor, and Lien search is usually included. So normally when you're dealing with a dealership, you're not going to have to worry about these things at the back here. So the formula will resort back to what I told you from the very beginning, when it's almost like buying new, almost without, there's very few, it's just like if they do mention that you have to pay the safety, if they do mention that there need to be some repairs done, and if they do mention a lien, this is what you would do. You would follow this template. Make sure you look up and check. It's like, is everything right? Because the used private will be different. The first part will be. Okay, use private. Because it's a long formula, I will get rid of this and I will start way over here. Okay. Oh, you can't see that. Okay, use private. Purchase price. Plus purchase slash book. Oops. Times, watch carefully here, this is 0.07. Very, very crucial to get that right. It's not 1.07, it's 0.07. And I will explain the formula. Plus safety times 1.05 plus parts and labor times 1.12 plus lien. So the last part there is exactly the same. And I will box that in. Can you see that, or is it too small? You got it? I would strongly recommend you writing it down. Okay. I will also say that this part right here is the PST on vehicle. Okay. So this bracket right here figures out the PST on the vehicle, but it has to be done separately because it's the greater of the two. And when you're buying private, I have to give you a book value. I cannot omit that. So when you see a book value, you have to compare the two, look at the numbers, the greater one goes into that bracket. I will also say this, that note using the formulas finds the total after tax. Okay, and this is, so that's a bullet, and this is another one. Do not multiply final answers by 1.12. That's so, and the reason why I'm actually adding this is because that's a very common mistake. Students do use that formula beautifully. They type everything in. They're like, yeah, step by step, and then at the end, oh, times 1.12. Again, you've double taxed this whole thing, right? So you can't do that. All right. Let's do one example here. Example 1, you agree on a price of $12,999, right? It's a used car, but it's happening at a dealership. Okay? You add a remote starter for $499.99. The dealer offers you $3,500 for your old car, right? How much is paid total including tax? So it's a used car, but it's at a dealership. So it's kind of like this is the U part and this is the D part. So it's used dealership. So you take the price of the car. And remote starter, where would you put that under? Parts and labor, or would you just put it under the options? I'm asking you because it actually doesn't matter. If you put that under, so if you add it here, or you want to put it under parts and labor, they're both taxed 12% when you're buying at a dealer. So it really doesn't matter. So I'm gonna add it here, $499.99. I'm gonna subtract the trade-in and just multiply this by 1.12. And I will do this for your notes here. This is the sticker price, and this is the trade-in. So nothing really has changed. When you're buying at a dealer, it's very much like buying a new car. Okay, so let's go ahead and calculate that. So that's 9,998.99 times 1.12. And that's 11,198.87. You round to the nearest two decimals, right? So it's 87. And write this down and I'll just explain here. Because some students write that on their study sheet, the big formula, and they get so like, what about safety, Mr. Dirksen? What about parts and labor? What about the Lien search? It's not there, right? So just ignore it. It's zero. You can replace all of those with zero. Okay? So let me just take you up here. So in a sense, this went to 0, parts and labor went to 0, the lien at the top went 0, so you're down to just that. Okay, so if you understand your formula, right, you can, it may have only mentioned safety but not parts and labor and lien, then it's that, right? So just use as much or as little depending on what is given to you. I'm going to let that second example, I'm going to let you try that one. See what you can muster up on that one. Worst case scenario, you have to erase it and do it again. So that's where I'm going to end. I don't have enough. I didn't give you enough examples to give you homework, so I'm just going to leave it at that.